Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Carmona, and welcome back to another episode of Rob the Mic. Thank you for all the love on last week's episode, and also a massive thank you to everyone who came over to my personal page and showed love on the Dogtown Super Show reel and the video on YouTube. It's really overwhelming, you guys, and it's weird because I try to sit in it for a minute, and every time I put work out, I get super hard on myself. I'm really, really nervous about the entire process. And it kind of takes me back to like when I was in art school. It's like, fuck, dude, we're about to make this presentation. Hopefully it goes over well, because at the end of the day, this is a massive part of me. Like, even though I'm trying to showcase something, I'm trying to bring some art to you guys. It's a part of myself. I put a lot of myself into my work. Is it something I really love? It's not just a job. It's something I really, really love and care for. And especially this sector of my life, I do my absolute best to showcase it in the best way that I can, not just for myself, but for the guys that I'm working with, the guys that I'm trying to show off, this scene, this way of life that I'm trying to display right now. It's really heavy for me. And I'm trying to not just make myself proud, but I'm trying to make everybody else around me proud. That's been a part of this process and me kind of jumping into this world, and not so like jumping into it, but kind of jumping into portraying it a certain way and actually showcasing things and using my camera and using my design skill and anything that I have to try and make something to show the world what this really is and why I do what I do. So thank you guys. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for commenting, sharing, sending the video to somebody. Anything that you've done or been a part of, or if you interacted in some way, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so, so much. And, it was a trip coming into that, like after posting this video, because that Friday I had a couple things planned. I had some stuff going on, and I actually posted the reel on the go. And usually I try and do everything at home. That way I'm at my desk. I kind of have my home base. If anything goes wrong, I can kind of adjust or do whatever I need to do. And this time I was doing it on the go, and I was a little bit nervous about that. So I tried to set everything up as best as I could. And thankfully it went over pretty smooth, which I was a little surprised about considering where I was. I ended up going to downtown Disney and just kind of spending a couple hours there. And I wanted to just have a good time. I wanted to enjoy myself, but I knew obviously I had some work to do, and I was doing it using their Wi-Fi. So I was like, shit, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this is going to work, but everything worked out. And thank you guys. Thank you guys so, so, so much. And I was trying to sit in this process and like be stoked about it. Right. Cause I try to just brush things off and like, be cool about it. I couldn't be cool about this shit because I was super, super excited about it. And just the response again, you guys, I'm like, fuck, dude, this is why I do what I do. This is why. And originally I was going to start talking about like some stuff for the podcast for this week's episode. I was planning it last week and trying to be like, okay, I kind of want to base it around my work, base it around the creative field and like why I'm kind of focusing and, doing certain things with my job. But then Saturday, I ended up attending a birthday party for a friend. And that kind of shifted my entire thought process. And I was like, nah, dude, I got to talk about this. And it's not necessarily just talking about the party itself, but it's like what's transpired at that party. I ended up finding out certain things and talking with my buddy for quite some time. And I was like, damn, dude, you know what? I think this is something I kind of want to get into. And it's nothing crazy. It's not that we haven't talked about some of this type of shit before, but I think it's just the way that everything went down. It kind of struck a certain nerve, and I was like, nah, we got to talk about this shit. So what ended up happening is I dipped out to my buddy's place, and he had just bought this house. And it was a trip because I didn't know that it was his house. I thought he was doing it like at his girl's family's house or something of the sort. Turns out it's his house, and it was kind of like a surprise. So he was like, yo, dude, like this is me. So I was super stoked for him. So it was like birthday, housewarming situation. And I felt really fortunate to be there. Like there was a ton of love. There was a ton of good vibes. And I was just like, damn, dude, like out of all the people you could have invited, you reached out to me and you wanted me to be here. So of course I wasn't going to miss it for the world. But we start talking a little bit. And when I got there, I noticed that his brother's truck was outside. So I was really excited about that because I was like, damn, dude, I haven't seen his brother in such a long time. And I actually met this friend through that brother. So I'm like, damn, okay, this is going to be rad. And originally I was going to hit him up to be like, yo, dude, I'm outside. Surprise. But I was like, nah, I'm going to hit up my boy just to let him know, hey, dude, I'm here. So what's up? Good thing I did that. So when I get in the house, you know, he introduces me. His girl's family was there. It was a ton of people in the house, walking around, shaking hands, introducing myself. We get a minute. We make a drink. Well, his wife makes us a drink. And we're just chilling out in the kitchen. So we start talking a little bit. And I was like, yo, so what's up? Where's your brother? Like, I see his truck parked outside. And he's like, oh, man, we got to talk about that. So I was like, okay. I'm assuming just based on that whole response, right? It's like, fuck, dude, this isn't going to be good. Whatever it is, it's not going to be good. So I'm like, all right, what's up? Break it down. Tell me what's good. So we get into it a little bit. He starts basically telling me that him and his brother, they're not speaking right now. And I get it. You know, sometimes things happen between siblings. You need a little bit of space. There's been quite a bit of space between them. And it breaks my heart. But at first, I was kind of just under the impression that, you know, maybe just they weren't getting along or something wasn't working out. So they needed some space. I said, all right, you know, I get that. So the party transpires, you know, everything's going down. Everyone's having a good time. We're bullshitting, having a couple drinks, laughing, telling stories, getting to know people. Everybody goes home for the night. And then it's basically just me and a couple of my boy's girls' family members. It was like her mom, her dad, aunt, uncle, you know, just a couple people. They're chilling inside doing their thing. And I'm outside with my boy. And then his girl came out too, and we were talking for a little bit. And that's what started the conversation, I guess, because she came out with us and we started jumping into some topics. And he really started to explain what was going down between them. And I was like, yo, this shit doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't make sense to me. Like, look, again, I understand, you know, you're having your sibling issues and kind of not talking to a certain person based on a certain thing, but it's wild what's gone down between them. And it really bothered me from like what's going on with his brother's standpoint, because his brother and I don't have issues. And I feel like based on what's gone down between them, it's like, well, that kind of, because you guys are having that kind of issue, I would assume that type of issue would affect us. But maybe it's just because of how I navigate conversations with him, because of how we talk about things or what we talk about. Maybe that's why it hasn't really become an issue or never really came up or anything like that. And what gets me is a lot of it actually has to do with the whole mental health, like forefront of that. And it's like, that's a little on the funny side, because they had some shit that went down in their family. I'm not trying to air out all their laundry, but they had some pretty serious shit go down. And you would think, I mean, granted, sometimes shit goes down, brings family closer. Sometimes shit goes down, spreads family apart, right? It happens. Sometimes it's a coin toss. So in this case, it's not that it didn't drive them apart, but something did happen after that event that kind of drove them apart. And the big thing is that the buddy who I went to, like I went to his place, he started his therapy journey after everything, because he was just like, dude, everything's just too much. I need to talk to somebody. I don't really know how to like deal with this type of shit. So I had to seek help. I didn't really know how to go about it. I didn't really know what to do, but I knew that this was an avenue that I wanted to explore. So I said, okay, like me just listening, I was really happy for him, right? Because I'm like, shit, I had no idea, dude. And the thing is, even before that, he had mentioned something to me about listening to the podcast and how me talking about my journey, like he thinks it's really helpful and beneficial just to everybody, not just men, specifically men in the automotive industry, but like men in general. But he goes, just overall, bro, he goes, I think it's tight that you talk about this type of shit. So when I was going through my journey and doing my thing, basically his brother wasn't on board with the whole thing, you know, because he thinks therapy is bullshit. He thinks that, you know, this whole mental health thing is just a bunch of fucking nonsense. It's not real. It's all in your head, you know, se que madre. But you know what? My whole shit is, I'm like, so is that how you feel about what the fuck I'm doing? Right? Because it's not like I've lost touch with his brother, or like we don't talk, or like we haven't spoken or anything like that. But I am very curious, because I'm like, well, if you're like this with your brother and you talk to him and you treat him a certain way regarding this subject, how is it that you feel about me, one, being in therapy, to having this podcast. Because granted, this isn't just a mental health podcast. You know what I mean? We talk about all kinds of stuff, right? But it does so happen to just be very heavily based around mental health, around just that type of like self-growth about this journey that I'm on, and I bring you guys with me. So I was like, damn, bro. So he starts telling me this stuff, and for me, I'm getting upset. As I'm listening to all this shit, like I'm getting upset because there's so many people out there who are still in that same fucking boat that are like, mental health is fucking bullshit, this, and this, and that. And I'm like, maybe you think it's bullshit because you don't understand and you won't let yourself understand. Maybe if, for example, you found out somebody killed themselves, in your head, you're like, oh, it's because they're fucking weak and because they're this and because they're that. And look at them. Now they fucking did that. Fuck them and fuck this. It's like, hold on. That's fucking crazy that you look at that shit like that. But I'm not saying, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth or thoughts in his head, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of his response to that whole situation, right? Or if you're depressed and you feel like shit and you don't want to leave your house, people like that are like, oh, you just fucking nut up and keep it going, just man up. And it's like, okay, you know what? I get to a certain extent. There are certain times, you guys, I really do believe that you have to pull your ass up and get the fuck going. Because if you don't, nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to fucking come and grab your hand and be like, get the fuck up. Are there people who are going to try and help you? Of course. I think if you have certain friends, certain family member, if you have a partner, they're probably going to support you and try and push you in some way. But at the end of the day, it has to be you. Because if it's not you, you're the only one that has the strength to really get up. You're the only one that has the strength to make a change, to do something with your life that is different than what it is that you're experiencing. And if you feel like that is bullshit, so you mean to tell me what I'm feeling and what I'm experiencing is a lie, that it's all made up in my head. And I started to dig really fucking deep and I went down this really nasty hole. So I'm just kind of like, and I took a lot of offense to it because I'm like, okay, so you mean to tell me, for example, the next day on Sunday was my uncle's year anniversary. And I was like, so you mean to tell me being in my head, feeling depressed, feeling just kind of fucked up about it all, because the closest uncle that I had, the closest thing in reality to a father that I had, he's gone now. And what I feel and what I'm experiencing is all bullshit and it's in my head. That I should just fucking swipe it aside and just keep it moving because that's what men do. Fuck you. Honestly, dude. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? You mean to tell me that because I feel like this, because I'm going through it, because I feel some sort of way, it's all bullshit? Right? I'm supposed to just man up, nut up, put my jeans on one leg at a time, throw my boots on and say, fuck you. Like, Like, honestly, what the fuck does that really tell you? Right? The fact that you are pushing and you are so evasive, you just don't want to deal with shit. You don't want to deal with what's gone down in your family. You don't want to deal with what's gone down in your life. You don't want to deal with anything. And it's like, do you have a wife and a kid? Right? What type of image are you trying to put out then, right? You're just trying to put out that, oh, you're this all American, all put together, all this fucking that, you know, I'm doing it. I did the dream. Like, nah, dude. What happens when your kid's going through it and they're experiencing whatever it is the fuck that they're experiencing? If they're having to live through a death, which they will, right? What are you going to do then when your kid's fucking sad? You're going to go in your kid's room and be like, oh, stop crying and fucking nut up. Keep it going. When your kid goes through their first heartbreak, what are you going to do? Walk in their door and say the same shit? Oh, fucking nut up. Make it happen. Fuck them. You're going to find somebody else. Blah, 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 blah. And just keep it going. Keep it pushing. Don't worry about that. Focus on your homework and fucking whatever else you're going to say. Is that really how you're going to deal with that shit? Because in my opinion, look, if you do, that's you. That's completely on you. I'm not going to sit here and judge, even though I'm low-key judging or high-key. However the fuck you want to fucking see it. Go about your life however the fuck you want to go about it. But in my opinion, you being and acting super evasive like that and just being like, oh, this is bullshit and not wanting to recognize it, well then. Again, that says more about you than it does about somebody else. So as my homie's over here spilling all his shit about his journey, what he's gone through, what he's experienced, it's like for myself, he and I got to connect even deeper than we ever have, because it's probably the first time that we've really, really talked and like really gotten into it. And we got to both be vulnerable about things that maybe we hadn't talked about before. You know, and for myself, especially meeting his girl for the first time, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was fucking nervous. I always get nervous when I meet my people, like people that I love and care for. When I meet their people, their partner, their person, you know, husband, wife, whatever they may be, I get super nervous because I'm like, damn, dude, like, this is wild. I'm gonna meet my person's person. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I love my boy. I do. I care for him so fucking much. I've known him for a long time. We've been down since like 2011 ish, 2010, 2011, something like that. So he's been in my life for quite some time. So again, I've watched him grow up, and he's also a little bit younger than me. Not a ton, but he's a little bit younger than me. So watching him grow up, do his thing, go to school, make shit happen, build a life for himself, a legitimate life for himself. And now it's like, woo, you know, he's in this new step. He's got a house. He's got his girl. You know, we start talking. I start talking to her about him. We start talking about our relationship and all this. And I'm just like, look, telling her in front of him, you know, my boy's sitting next to me and she's over here on the couch to my left. And I'm over here talking to her about him, like how much I admire him, how much, you know, all these things that he's just there. Like, and I even told him, I said, dude, I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk about you as if you're not here. And granted, I'm saying nothing but good things, but I didn't want him to feel awkward. But it's like, this dude has gone through so much, like all these things that had been thrown at him, and look at where the fuck he landed. Not only on his 2 feet, but on his 2 feet and running. Because I feel like a lot of the times we're tossed shit and we don't always end up on our feet. And sometimes it takes time. And for him, I think the way events unfolded, it's just, you know, it's fucking weird because you hear about like, oh, everything happens for a reason in the fucking universe and all this bullshit. But honestly, dude, why is it that sometimes shit just works out, right? When you're doing something, when you're planning for something, whatever maybe you're the process that you're in, and sometimes things just kind of fall into place. And it's like, why the fuck is it like that? So for him, things just kind of fell into place. You know, whether he was going from certain job to certain job or doing certain thing to certain thing, and certain events transpired and this and that. But in reality, because of those things transpiring, it kind of landed him where he's at right now. And it was wild because I said, dude, you know what? Watching you with your girl is one of the most beautiful things ever. They really do have a beautiful relationship. I don't have too many friends that have relationships like that. And it's not even that they're in a honeymoon stage, because there's very much a honeymoon stage, and that's very evident, and you can tell for the most part when people are in that. This is a different kind of relationship, because it's literally just the way that they love each other. It's the way that they are, the way that they've kind of intertwined in each other's lives and each other's DNA. It's like they just kind of work. You know what I mean? Like everything just works together. It's beautiful to watch. And I couldn't believe it because, again, it's the first time that I've seen them together. It's the first time that I've been with them and spent time. But I said, this makes sense. This really makes sense. And I would like to think for myself, I'm a pretty decent judge of character. And there was something so beautiful about her. So beautiful. When I met her and just the interactions and the way that she was and her kindness, like I felt it. I didn't just see it, but I felt it. And I felt that warmth. And I felt super comfortable. Honestly, I felt super comfortable in their home that I could like go anywhere, do anything, kind of sit down, eat whatever I wanted, which is strange because I don't normally feel like that. I just kind of like keep to myself, do my thing, you know, but I felt so comfortable there. And I'm like, you guys have promoted this environment. You guys made something here. This is what your love, what your energy, what your everything brings to this home. And I remember telling him, I said, look, dude, like he was telling me, I should say, he feels that like she was a godsend and that his mom had something to do with it. And I said, you know what? At this point, it's really weird how everything went down, dude, with your like within your life, all these events that unfolded. But you know what? I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it that moms has something to do with this, because somebody so special to come into your life right when you needed her to come into your life. I'm like, man, that's wild. You can't just tell me that shit like that just happens. And don't get me wrong, it can for sure. But the odds and the chances are so fucking widespread that it's like, what? And for some reason, when these events unfolded, she kind of unveiled herself. And it took some work. I remember him telling me about the process, and I know it took him some work, but he's like, it's because I knew it. There was something about her. I knew it, dude. And I just had to get past these walls. And once I got past these walls, that was it, dude. It was done. And he told me after the first conversation they had, first phone conversation, he said was like, I think he said like 6 or 7 hours, something like that. And some of y'all listening and watching, however, you're probably like, what the fuck? That's crazy. But think about it. Remember the first time you talked to your person on the phone? You probably do that shit with your person right now, right? You sat there, you wanted to talk, stay up all night talking, getting to know each other. Next thing you know, 6, 7 hours, the sun's coming up. You're like, oh shit, it's a different feeling. And he goes, dude, after that day, we never stopped talking. And now here we are, living under the same roof, building a life together. And I'm like, that's what's up. It's sad that on the outside of that, the family that he has that's here won't support him and doesn't fuck with him because of, for some stupid ass reason, right? Because let's say he's prioritizing and dealing with his mental health, and because he feels that that's important. And again, that's what I push here on this show. That's what we're all about here. We're about mental health. We're about making sure that each and every single person who's listening and watching is okay. Because if you're not okay, if you don't feel that you're okay, you feel that you need help, okay, take some steps. Let's see what we got to do. And I say we because I've worked so hard to create a community of y'all, like of everybody who fucks with this program, everybody who fucks with this show, everybody who watches on YouTube, that this is a safe space. And that if you don't know what or who or how or however to navigate anything, that you could reach out to me. Hey, Rob, dude, I got to ask you something. I'm really going through it right now. XYZ, blah, blah, blah. I want to talk to somebody. I know you've talked about using BetterHelp or using things like that. Because again, even though I push BetterHelp because I use it, it doesn't mean that I don't know about other platforms, or it doesn't mean that I don't know how to help you. Let's say if you want to use your insurance, there's certain platforms that you can use through your insurance. I can help you, for example, for some people who have Kaiser, I know how to do the whole process through Kaiser, which is a completely other fucking thing. So it's like, I've tried and I will continue to try and always push and promote that I'm here to help in some way, shape, or form. I'm not a therapist. I'm not licensed. I'm not anything like that. But I do understand a lot of these processes. And my whole thing is here, this is a safe space. I want y'all to be able to ask me questions. I want you guys to be able to open up to talk to me about whatever the fuck you want to talk about. Because that's what we create here. We have created something like that. We have created something special. And this shit keeps growing and it keeps getting bigger. And the whole thing is too, when I started this project, I didn't know what was going to happen, right? It was just supposed to be like a willy-nilly, ooh, I'm going to talk about cars. I'm going to talk about food. I'm talking about my homies, shoes, whatever the fuck I want to talk about. And it grew into something so much more. And at first, also, I was really fucking nervous. Really, really nervous. Because I'm like, damn, dude, we're going to be talking about some real shit. Because I'm not here to fucking fluff. I'm not here to put on a front or a show or anything like that. The way we are right here, the way I talk to you guys is the way I am in real life. You catch me outside, like, this is how it is. We talk about this type of shit in real life. If you see me off in the distance with a homie, we're probably talking about some serious shit. If you see me with my friends, don't get me wrong, it's not always serious. I'll be fun in games, hee ha ha, this bullshit too. Don't get me wrong, because I like to live my life like that. I love to have a good time. I love smiling. I don't want to be crying and be sad all the time. But when I do have to allot time for that and we got to be serious, we got to talk about shit, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. That's what this is about. I don't want to fuck around and find out later. Let's do it right now. So the fact that this has been created, and it breaks my heart, man, because I'm like, damn, my boy's over here going through it and he's being judged and he's being like kind of ostracized in a way because he's taking care of himself. And because He's trying to better his life and better himself so that not only he can be better for himself, but he could be better for his girl, be better for everybody around him, his coworkers, just his entire environment. And I see it. I see what he's doing and I feel it. And I felt it when I was there because I said, damn, dude, okay. So despite all these things that have happened and that have transpired between you and your brother, pulling that shit out, seeing what's left is beautiful, dude. I said, look at this. Look what you've done. Look what you've created. Look what's continuing to unfold. And it will continue to unfold in a positive way because of what you're doing. Because of the leaps, because of the bounds, because of the things that you've put yourself through thinking that you couldn't get through them. And look at where you got yourself. Seeking help, talking to somebody, trying to understand yourself, understand your emotions, why we communicate certain ways, and this, that, and the third. It's important. It's super fucking important. And crazy thing too, his girl's actually a therapist, which in my opinion, I'm like, that's fucking incredible. And some people will be like, what? No, that's gotta be wild. Cause she's probably like fucking reading you and doing all this shit all the time. And it's like, no, dude, you know what? For me, like, I would love that. I would love that. If somehow, I met a therapist and we ended up dating, that's wonderful. Because it's like this person has a different understanding of how to communicate. They know the questions to ask. They know how to just kind of connect with people. And that's the hardest thing nowadays, y'all. It's one of the hardest things in the world, which it shouldn't be, right? To be able to talk to people, but it is. It is. It's weird trying to get to know people, trying to talk to people and deal with it and this and that. And it's like, why do you think dating apps are such a nightmare, right? Because people don't know how to communicate anymore. You go out in public trying to have conversation with people, same thing. Nobody knows how to talk about shit anymore. Nobody knows. It's fucking TikTok this and IG that. And it's like, what about outside of that? Like, you don't know how to talk to me about music that I like, or, food, or why I like doing certain things. Why did I choose my job? Why did I go to the school that I went to? Anything like that. Basic conversation. People don't know how to do that shit anymore. They don't. And for a lot of people listening and watching who are in relationships, obviously you don't have to worry about that. But I'm sure you maybe have some sort of insight on that because of your single friends, people around you. Maybe you hear that often. You're not just hearing it because you're hearing it. You're hearing it because it's a thing. I know I talk about it with the people around me too. So they get it from my side. And they're like, yo, that shit sounds like a nightmare. I'm like, because it is. Straight up. It is a nightmare. Off the top of my head, there's very few instances where I've met people in person or I've randomly and just kind of like struck conversation and that it's worked. Wild the amount of times. And it shouldn't be that way, right? It should be not every time I leave the house, but it should be like a regular thing. It should be easy to have conversation, and it's not. So again, everything that his relationship is, it's like, it's something that I look at and I'm like, that's beautiful. That's something that I want. This life that he's kind of created is like, this is what I'm pushing for. This is what I'm trying to do for myself, right? With like the work that I've been doing lately, whether it's photo, video, design, anything like that, I'm trying to build certain blocks so I can stand on and build this life for myself. And it's like, sometimes I get down on myself too, because I'm like, fuck, why hasn't it happened? Why haven't certain things, like, why haven't they clicked? Why haven't they moved? Why haven't I done this? Why haven't I seen this? And it's okay. I think at the same time, I have to learn surrender, which is something that I've been trying to work on a lot lately. And just surrendering to what's in front of me, what I'm doing. I'm going through whatever it is that I'm going through for a reason. And I can't force it. I can't push it. I can't try to move it along faster because it kind of is what it is right now. And I got to deal with it. And that's okay. It's okay. A lot of this shit that I feel like I'm dealing with right now is not permanent. And I feel like we all kind of need to realize that too. The things that we're dealing with right now, whatever they may be, even the positive stuff, it doesn't last forever. So it's like, okay, I got to live in this moment right now. Whatever's happening, just fucking let it go. Cool. I'm in it. Letting the water take me wherever it goes. I'm letting just going with the flow, right? Which is something we talk about a lot on this show. It's a very, very heavy topic. Going with the flow, just kind of letting life take you It's important, and I forget it all the time. For as much as I talk about it, you'd be surprised how much I forget it. But right now, I am very much in that mindset because I kind of feel like, I don't know, like things have been shifting. So like we've been talking about since my birthday, right? Like things have kind of been changing. Relationships have been changing. Things with my job have been changing. It just, everything in my life is very like, it's not loose, but it's not super concrete. And I'm like, okay, how do I go about working with all of this to make these things more concrete? And that's all right, right? That's my flow right now. Everybody has their different flow. Everybody has a different place that they're at in their life. And for himself, for my boy, he's doing his thing right now, and he's landed and made certain things concrete. And for myself, it gives me the gas to continue pushing, because it's like, okay, that's what I'm working towards. This entire thing that you have created, this is exactly what I'm working towards. This is what I'm trying to do with myself, with my life, with my career, in every aspect. It's like you have something, and I love seeing it because I love seeing my people come up. I love seeing them do their shit and be happy when they're doing it. You know, at the same time, I have other homies who are very successful, have their houses, have their apartments, whatever life that they wanted, they've created it. And let's say they hate their jobs. They hate what they do. The money's great, but they're fucking miserable. And it's like, ooh, you know what? I don't want that. I don't want that. And some people be like, well, I would trade money for that. And it's like, you say that because you're not in it. It's real easy. It's real fucking easy. But then when you got to clock in and you're miserable as fuck every day, is it really worth it? And again, some of you are probably like, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. You say that right now because you don't fucking know what it is to have that shit. You don't know what it is. You know, I've known some people in my life that have cleared $250 a year, damn near 300 a year. And they're literally the most miserable people I've ever fucking known. And they're like, dude, I have so much money, I don't know what to do with it. But I'm just not fucking happy. I hate my job. I hate what I do. It doesn't matter what vacations I go on. It doesn't matter where I go, what cars I buy, what clothes I buy, what I eat. It doesn't fucking matter. Because at the end of the day, when I go home and I lay my head down, I'm still fucking depressed. I still feel like shit, and I still hate my life. So it's like, is it really worth it? Again, some of you are probably still saying, yeah, it's worth it. But once again, I'll beg to fucking differ, and I'll play the devil's advocate that I guarantee if you were in their fucking shoes, it'd be a very different process. It's a very different process. Does money solve problems? Yeah, of course it does. It solves a lot. And for those of us who don't have it and didn't grow up with it, yeah, it would solve a lot of problems because we understand the value of the dollar. We understand the value of money, right? As to other people, maybe they didn't have to worry about it. Maybe it was just kind of handed to them, you know, given on a silver platter, and that's cool. Not everybody's meant to be in the struggle. Not everybody's meant to be, you know, on grind mode all the time. And that's not their fault either. You know what I mean? If they're born into it, what the fuck? That's all they know. That's all these people know. It is, you know, I can't fucking hold it against them because let's say so-and-so's parents are rich. Well, what the fuck? It's not like this fool chose that shit. That was just his path. That's what it was supposed to be for him. And I'm not saying that for us, it's like, this is what we were supposed to be, right? We're supposed to be like, we have to work for it. We have to do this. But at the same time, I'm also really fucking thankful to be in this position that I'm in, because it's taught me how much to care, how much to enjoy, how much to just kind of be exactly where I'm at, and what working hard gets you, why you have to work so hard, and why you have to do certain things, and why the fruit tastes so much sweeter after that. Because every time I've hit a milestone in my life, it feels so much better because of the position that I've been in. So I know a lot of you who are listening and or watching, maybe you'll second think or second guess or second, however you want to fucking say it, however the saying goes, you'll think about that shit again. Because it's different. It's different. There's always a trade. There's always something that you're going to sacrifice for something, right? And it's like, is the sacrifice worth it? Again, some of you are probably still saying yeah, but I'd beg to differ. I think if you were in that position and if you understood what the fuck it is that you were having to deal with, you probably wouldn't want to do that shit. It's the same reason why some people are like, oh, how come famous people or movie stars or big time, you know, singers all over the world, why is it that they kill themselves? Think about that shit. How, when they have everything? Because they don't have everything. Something's missing. Something is fundamentally just not there, and they don't know how to get it. Money can't buy it. They can't seem to find it, you know? And that to them, that's the answer. You have people like Robin Williams. Oh my God, they're like, dude, he's like the happiest man in the world. Had everything, all these connections, all these everything, literally just the world at his fingertips. And look at what ended up happening. How did this happen? You never know. And again, having all the money, having fame, having power, it doesn't mean anything in this world. It doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, you lay down in a bed and you're by yourself. Even if you're laying next to somebody, just like we've talked about multiple times on the show, it's just you. And if the thoughts in your head and if the feelings that you have are not positive and they're not what you want, they're not what you need, then what the fuck do you think is going to happen? Right? It doesn't matter if you're in a room of gold, you're still going to lay there and you're still going to feel fucking empty. So it's trying to find ways to fill it with meaning, trying to find ways to just be okay. And a lot of those things don't cost money. It's just you putting yourself in situations that can make yourself feel better, right? So again, ultimately, working on your mental health, making sure that you are okay, giving yourself what you need, being able to support yourself and feel supported by yourself. If you don't feel loved, you need to understand how to feel love and how to give yourself love. Things that you love to do, things like that. For example, with myself, I didn't know how to do a lot of that shit until I started going into therapy. It's flat out. Until I started doing self-work. I started looking at certain people, right? Watching how they're doing things. Why do they do that? What's going on? Like, why is it that Jay Shetty's talking about this? You know what I mean? Why is it that Matt Hussey's talking about this? Lewis Howes, all these people, it's like, why are they talking about these things? I want to learn. I want to understand. I want to go in deep dives, Mel Robbins, all these people. I'm like, what is it? And I'm searching and I'm trying to find something. And let's add therapy into the mix. It's like, let's go deeper. I want to understand these people and I want to understand myself. How do we get this fucking world of understanding into my head, into my heart, into my soul? And then on top of that, how can I get onto this show and how can we talk about it and spread this kind of awareness? How can we make this a thing? How do we make this more normalized? Because it doesn't seem to be getting normalized. Yeah, it's talked about a lot. Okay, whatever. And that's fine. That's great. I think it's awesome it's talked about so much. And all these people are pushing this whole initiative, but it's still not there. It's still not there. And the fact that my boy is dealing with this with his family, with his brother, and that it's not being accepted and it's not being understood. I'm not saying you have to force somebody to accept it. People can accept whatever the fuck they want to accept. But it's sad that it's not recognized as an actual thing. So it's like, what is it? What is it that has to be done, right? There's a disconnect. So that's what's inspired this episode. That's what's inspired me to just kind of talk about everything today, because I'm like, fuck, dude, something's not right. Something's not right. And it's like, I don't like being made, like, again, I felt attacked, right? Like, I felt like something was like, this is about me. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Nah, if you got something to say or you don't like something, just tell me. We could talk about it like adults. It's not that I'm like, oh, because you don't like this person, I don't like you. It's not like that. But it's like, talk to somebody about it who has answers. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's right for people to go and attack and to say shit to certain people when they don't have the answers. But it's like, hold on, flip the script and talk to somebody who does. And let's see how that conversation goes, because I bet you it's going to be different, right? And coming out of Saturday, driving home, I mean, dude, my mind was racing. It was late as fuck. It was probably like 2 a.m. and I was driving back. Got home around 2:30, 2:45, something like that. Showered, get into bed. And I'm just fucking laying there. And I felt like I just blinked. I was thinking so much on the way home. It's not that I remember the entire drive home, but it's almost like I don't remember it. Because it's like, I snapped my finger and I was home almost. I showered, did my whole thing. Next thing you know, I was just laying in bed and I was like, damn, dude, this is wild. Because my mind was racing. And I was like, this is it. And I hated that I kind of felt that way going into my uncle's anniversary, because I woke up that next morning, oh my God, with a splitting headache. Just because. It's not even because I was drinking or because, whatever the fuck I ate or something. I don't know, but my head was pounding. Dude. I felt like my face. I was like, God damn it, dude. The fuck? And now I got to deal with this. Okay, here we go. I don't have a choice, right? It's like, this is what's thrown at me right now. Went to this, did this whole thing, and now I'm over here. I got to deal with what's going on. The fact that my uncle's been gone a year, and how the fuck has a year passed? How has that happened? How are we here right now? How is it that my boy's not here and that I've been looking at photos of him every single day for the last year, and this is all I got left? My family was gonna go to mass, and they were gonna do like a prayer of intention for him at mass. So basically, like, say his name at the end of mass, and just kind of to pray for his soul and everything like that. And for myself, again, I don't want to get into religion or anything like that right now. I personally am not the most religious person. I have a lot of respect for it. I think if people find it and it brings them some sort of peace and it makes them a better person, I think that's wonderful. I say go for it. I think a lot of people use it as an excuse, and they're fucking assholes either way. But again, that's for another episode. And I wanted to go to this mass, though. I wanted to be a part of this. But at the same time, I said, you know what? I can't, because somebody's got to take care of the whole food situation. And my mom had picked up some stuff in the morning, but I said, somebody's got to cook. Somebody's got to make sure everything's set up. Everything's good. I don't want everybody to get back from mass, be hungry, and then everyone's waiting for an hour and a half. I said, nah, you know what? Y'all go do your thing. I'm going to hang back. And I'm glad that I did that, because I got to kind of have time with myself. I needed a minute by myself before everybody showed up at my house. Before I had family, on some bullshit, I needed to be alone. So I went over to my grandma's altar of my uncle and just kind of sat with him. I talked for a little bit. And dude, I fucking cried so hard. Oh man, I haven't cried that hard in a long time. Like, hard cry. Because I be crying all the time. I know I tell you guys too. Shit, I've cried here on the show. But like, I be crying. Don't get me wrong. But dude, I was crying so hard. Like my face hurt. Like I was going through it. I was so fucked up. So fucked up. Because again, all of a sudden, it's like the day was here. We're a year deep. And my boy's gone. So I did my thing. I talked to him for a bit. And then from there, I went to the TV. I was going to put the TV on. I said, you know what? Nah, it's a music type of day. I put the AC on, make sure everything was nice and cool in the morning. Put some music on. Now I'm right there. I start chefing it up. I start cooking, start doing my thing, and just kind of let myself go. And for myself, I know we've talked about food before, but for those of you guys who are just tuning in, like, I love cooking. I love food. I love what I can do with it, and the fact that I can express myself in different ways. And also it allows me to disconnect from whatever it is that I'm doing and kind of focus on something else, because I have to, whether it's baking or cooking, anything like that. This requires my attention right now. I can't be dicking around. I got to make sure this doesn't burn. I got to make sure this is cooked properly. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to prepare this. I got to do this. I have a fucking knife in my hand. The last thing I want to do is my head be wandering. I look somewhere else, fucking chop my finger off. Like, I'm not trying to do shit like that. So I got to envelop myself in where I am. And I was able to do that. And I still felt a little bit weird. I had some family show up after, obviously. It was a little tense. Felt a little strange. Went up, showered. Took a breath, came back downstairs. I ate. Everybody had already eaten. Was doing my thing. Ended up working out. But it was tough because it's like, man, coming out of Saturday, which was a beautiful day. No regrets at all. Fucking beautiful. Spent it with my boy, his family, the family, his girl, everybody. Beautiful. But then coming into a day like that, I was just like, man, I was going through it. It was rough. I had certain thoughts about family and certain things. And I'm just like, fuck, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. How I was talking about with my boy, how tragedies happen and sometimes it drives family apart. Sometimes it brings them closer. And what's funny is, like, for this situation that happened, I feel like for a minute it kind of brought us closer. But then for myself, I couldn't help but wonder why it brought us closer. Why is it that now you give a fuck when he's not here anymore? When my uncle's not here, why is it that you care? But it's like, I got really in my head about it, and I was just kind of going through it. So when the day finished, I had my alone time. And I was like, you know what? I'm not cooking dinner. Went, got a burger from a local spot right here. Super fire. For some reason, the burger was like extra fire that day. And I got it because my uncle loved burgers. And it was wild because towards the end of his life, when he was going through his chemo process and going through everything, there was only certain foods that he could love and enjoy, like really enjoy. And for some reason, burgers was one of those foods. Like just in general, just all of the burger, he could taste everything. He could really savor it. And there was like other foods, for example, like pizza. He loved pizza, but it didn't really settle with him. He couldn't really eat it anymore. A lot of the times the sauce was too acidic or something would go down. And he loved pizza, and that shit broke my heart because he couldn't really have it. And there was other foods, random things that he couldn't really have. There were certain like foods he could have, like beans and things like that. He could still taste. He still really enjoy. Certain burritos from certain places he could still really enjoy. Like there is a spot called Ramona's. That's out here in LA. Really, really famous spot. You know, he could still really enjoy that. But I was really thinking about it, and I was like, man, what am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? And I said, you know what? I'm going to get a burger for my boy. So I went, got a bacon cheeseburger. I'm chilling. I'm watching Deepwater Horizon, which was probably the worst movie I could have watched. But it's a fucking amazing movie. I love that movie. And that story is sad as fuck. It is a sad fucking movie. For those of you guys who haven't seen it, it's sad as fuck. Long story short, it's about an oil rig that ends up exploding. And BP was involved with it. It was their rig. BP knew what was happening. They were there for testing when shit was going down. And they said it was fine. They were like, fuck this. It's okay. Everybody who worked there, the guys who were higher up were like, something's wrong. This rig shouldn't even be running right now. And BP's like, fuck you, do it. Hella people ended up dying. I think it was like 10 or 12 people ended up dying that day. And it was horrific. It's hands down one of the worst oil rig explosions in history. So that's what the movie's about. And for myself, I'm just like fucking heartbroken because I'm watching all these fools. And granted, it's a movie, I understand, but it's still the process, right? Like you're watching a film and you're watching these things go down, and you get so wrapped into the film. It's like you feel it, you know, you fuck with these characters, you see certain things, and then boom, 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 one after another, they're dying. And you're like, oh shit. So by the end of it all, I was just going through it. I was like, man, I was feeling sad. And then I just kind of sat there, turned the TV off, and I just fucking, again, the same way I had in the morning, I just started bawling, dude. Losing it. Started thinking about my uncle, started thinking about all kinds of stuff. And I just was going through it, man, until my fucking face hurt. And I basically cried all night. I cried all fucking night. It was a really, really tough one. Sunday was shit, dude. I woke up on Monday just drained like a motherfucker. And I said, yo, what is going on? Like, let's just chill out. Let's chill out. Let's take a breather. And I did. Because I needed it. I took a step back from my work. I needed to edit some photos, which I did. Don't get me wrong. I did. At the end of the day, things still have to be done, right? But I took my time with doing those things. And I didn't push myself for anything else. Because I said, you know what? I need a fucking day. I need a mental health day. I need to fucking stop. So here we go. And I did what I had to do. But I was like, man, what a fucking weekend. You know, it drove me to feeling all these kinds of things. It was like not even an emotional roller coaster. Like it was crazy. It was just highs all across the board for like good things, for bad things. I was just like, oh my God, just extremes. And when the drop happened, I was just like, okay, all right. Now, thankfully, the ride's over, at least for the time being. You know, speaking just for today, it's over. But like I still feel some kind of residual from it. You know, like when you go on a roller coaster and you still kind of feel a little bit weird or something like that, depending on how crazy the situation was. That's kind of where I'm at. Still feel a little bit weird. Still feel like some leftover, some residual energy kind of hanging around. But, you know, I'm making my best and making do with what I got. But it was a weekend, y'all. It was a weekend. And I really want to talk to you guys about it. Like even this right now, like I feel kind of drained. I feel kind of depleted. But it was something I wanted and needed to talk to you guys about. Because maybe this will spark different conversations for you. The same way I hope it does every week, right? Like I always tell you guys, hopefully this is something, whatever we talk about, whether it's the advice or something that you can talk about with your partner, your friends, your family, your coworkers, something like that, that it sparks conversation. Because that's what this is. It's conversations, it's love, it's spreading good things. You know, how maybe something that I'm going through or something that someone that I know is going through, but maybe it can help you guys get through something, right? It's like, okay, how do we keep this process, or how do we turn this into something good? So hopefully through all these things being said, it's like that you guys are able to take something from it. And my advice, a part of my advice came from just kind of experiencing all this, because I realized certain people, when I needed them, they weren't there. And then certain people that I didn't expect to be there ended up showing up. And it's like I was always so worried about how I was being, or like if me being sad all the time, or me speaking a certain way, or for example, people finding out about this podcast and listening to the shit I had to say, if that bothered them, then, I was always so worried about something like that. And I always be like, don't give a fuck about what people think or what they say or whatever. But it's like, we do, as people, we do care. We do take that shit into consideration. It's really hard, I feel like, for somebody to say, I don't give a fuck what people think about me. Nah, it's like, you do. That's why you say shit like that. That you do. You do fucking care. You would care if your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, wife, mom, dad, somebody, if they have a feeling towards you, that shit bothers you, or else you wouldn't be saying shit like that. We all do. To a certain extent, maybe certain things don't affect you, but ultimately, outside things, they do be affecting us, But I read something, and I read this a couple weeks ago. It's probably like 2-3 weeks ago. And I just saved it, and it just stuck. And for some reason, I said, that's this week's advice. That shit. And it's rare that I'll read something that far out. And even if I save it, wherever the fuck I read it, it doesn't mean that I'm going to talk about it or whatever. Sometimes I just save it, and maybe I'll go back and read it one day or whatever. Because a lot of the times I be reading shit like that. I go through certain quotes, certain things, because they kind of help me out. But this one just kind of stuck out a different way. And I'm going to read it to you guys. So it says, stop playing it cool. Just be passionate and intense and insane. And whoever sticks around is meant for you. One more time. Stop playing it cool. Just be passionate and intense and insane, and whoever sticks around is meant for you. I'm a firm believer in this. I think life is too fucking short. You never know what's going to happen at any point in time. So it's like, why not be passionate about things? Why not be intense? Why not be insane? Why not be a little, out of this world? And for the people who see that and recognize that and want to stay and want to be a part of that life, let them, because they're the ones that are meant for you. That's the life that you're building. That life is something that's been crafted, and you're just letting yourself live it. It's already there. Just let yourself do it. And again, the people who stick around, those are the ones who are meant for you. The people who dip out, fuck them. They're meant for something else. They weren't supposed to be a part of this chapter of your life. And we're allowed to change that shit at any point in time. And right now, that's kind of where I'm at. It's like, fuck it. Be intense. Be crazy, just do whatever you need to do. Say what you need to say, because I've had moments in my life, even as of recent, that I'm like, you fucking idiot. You should have said something. You should have done this. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not doing that anymore. I want to be passionate. I want to be crazy and all these things. And if you fuck with me and you like what we do here and you like what this is about, what I stand for, then you're going to stand next to me, behind me, however, but you're going to be next to me. And that's what I'm here for. And that's how I'm trying to live my life right now. That's how I'm trying to continue pushing this energy out. Because that's what this is for. Right now, in my life, that's what the fuck's going on. That's what's up. I'm trying to be a better version of myself. And I feel like I'm coming into a different version of myself. Like I found something. As I was digging, and it's like, ooh, this is for me. This is it right here. This is the fucking shit I was looking for. This is that treasure that I was supposed to look for and find. And it was supposed to change something, and it is. And it feels good. It's scary a little bit, but it feels so good, y'all. And hopefully, even after, reading that, and you got whoever was watching it, listening, however, if you hear that, maybe it'll spark something for you too. Or maybe somebody hey, you know what? I heard this and I thought about you. And again, if it affects you a certain way, I hope it does, honestly. Because we're out here, I'm trying to make some sort of change with the people that I fuck with. And it's like, again, if you stick around, you're sticking around for a reason. But I appreciate you guys for listening, for watching, supporting this podcast in any way that you do. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for all the comments, the shares, anything in between. I appreciate y'all. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, a beautiful weekend, and I will catch you guys on the next one.